Hi, you.
Hi, Brydn and hi, Ian. How are you guys doing? Thank you for joining us this morning.
No,
No
it's all.
worries. How are
You.
you?
Good, good. We've had two already amazing speakers talking about all sorts of things, but I think I'm really excited about your session because we actually haven't had any creative entrepreneurs on yet. So you guys are the first, no pressure. But
Hey, no pressure.
no pressure, no. But no, your story definitely resonates with mine because I obviously started Eric with my friend,
Mm.
and we quit our jobs to start a creative business. So do you guys want to, I guess, just kick off and introduce yourselves and tell us a bit about who So Motive or how So Motive began?
Sure. Yeah. Do you want to go in or shall I?
Oh God, I'll kick it off, I suppose.
Oh, go for it.
Oh, there you go. Basically, me and Brydn, we met together at a creative agency. Oh, probably about like what coming to close to 10 years ago now, actually. So we both had our passions in mine videography, Brydn's in photography, and we in this agency we both learned how to do all the skills that you need to like run a media agency, basically. But during that time, we had a boss who was yeah, he wasn't the nicest person, that's for sure. And I think we formed a bit of a mutual hatred for him, especially after he was punching holes in walls and all this kind of stuff.
God.
Yeah, it was a bit of a toxic environment. So we were just like, I think,
Trauma bonding.
yeah, trauma bonding. So yeah, we decided to get out of there, and we actually decided to first set up a wedding photography and videography business, and sort of like on the side, kind of did weddings, sort of like on the weekends or wherever we could to sort of like try and kind of get things moving. And of course, COVID happened at pretty much the same time as we were just about to get started with that. So, of course, the whole wedding industry, everything shut down, and we're like, okay, right, here's our chance. We're going to put all of the work together that we've done so far, and we're going to just build a website, try and get everything moving. And luckily, during that time that everyone was in lockdown, they were looking at all the stuff that we were posting and getting everyone excited for when weddings were back. So, when the weddings came back, we were able to kind of get a whole lot of clients coming through very, very early on. And that's kind of how we started our initial kind of working together outside of work side, I suppose, really.
Wow, that's amazing because
Yeah.
you obviously had a few setbacks, it sounds, but you kind of kept going and ended up actually being an advantage.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess that then moved us into move into a company called the Purpose Coalition, who are a they're like a coalition body for large businesses that come together who wanted kind of ESG strategies and links to Parliament and stuff to help move bills and stuff. And our job at that point was to highlight their events and impact reports and stuff when they'd be made. And myself and Ian really believed that the stuff that went into the reports should have had that further storytelling as such by the businesses that had all this data and success stories. Um, and at that point, we were actually made redundant from those roles, which are kind of, I guess, luckily we set up the wedding business to have some form of income because we were, I guess, forced into going fully freelance at that point. And we haven't looked back since. That was the birth of So Motive, as you will. It
Yeah.
actually started off as something called Passion Project Productions, and we're told pretty quickly it sounded like a porno, so we changed the name to So Motive. It was better fitting.
Um, and so you actually quit your 9 to 5 because you had to.
Exactly that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So it
Yeah.
wasn't okay. So actually it was again kind of silver lining.
Very much so. We were
Very
forced
much
into
so.
it. Everything that we were doing at This Is Purpose was, we really thought that was a great business model, really, in terms of kind of creating content for those stories that were just being untold at the time, really. And, the people in the company at the time just didn't see the value in it. But of course, we knew the power of storytelling and the power of filmmaking. So we were like, okay, fine, you've made us redundant. We're going to do exactly what we wanted to do with you guys, but do it for ourselves. So
Love
that's
that.
what we
Love
ended up
that.
doing.
And so what were your biggest fears, if you had any, at the very, very start?
Hmm.
Financials was definitely one. We both were living in London. I'd literally was in the process of buying our flat as we got made redundant. So there was some
Wow.
definite anxiety and stress around that particular moment. And then finding the work, I think, as well. I think luckily we built a good network throughout the time, including our old agencies. You know, we left on good terms that could give us some work at the time to keep us going.
What about you, Ian? Any same?
No, I agree. Financials, but also, yeah, it was the kind of like finding the work side in particular, like knowing that we had a good bank of clients from our previous job, like we'd worked with the likes of, Sainsbury's, Co-op, BP, like really, really big names and stuff like that, and basically I had all the contacts there, but we couldn't, actually work with them post our contract kind of thing. So it's like, oh, we've got all like these big contacts. It's like, but we can't do anything about it. So it's like, let's try and do as many smaller jobs as we can until that 6 months is over, and then we can jump in and do it. So that first period was a bit like, okay, let's try and see if we can power through.
Yeah, like can't run before you can walk kind of thing. And
Yeah.
obviously you started with weddings, which I assumed helped with the kind of paying the bills, and it was probably something that you didn't want to do necessarily in terms of the types of video, but maybe you had to do that. So I'm sure like yeah, any other I guess advice for people who are in that stage being like, okay, I can't do the things that I want to do, but I'm just gonna have to do things that I might not want to do to pay the bills.
I think there's an element to all work that you ever do of stuff that you don't like as such. That is, your bread and butter as such. There's certain types of work that we do now, and we're still like, yeah, but we should do this because you can you can just learn so much by doing them regardless. Like we talk about the weddings, like the networking element and finding valuable contacts through that. It's still paid dividends to today to the work that we're doing with certain businesses. So there's value in everything that you
Yeah,
can do as such.
100%.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sam and I actually before Eric, we did videography as well, like self-taught, and we did a few weddings. And the first wedding we did, we'd lost the footage, so like,
Yeah.
and
Oh
so we
no.
like pay back. We basically offered to do the wedding for free, even though we'd lost like, it was like a minute of their 5-day wedding. But anyway, yeah, lots of things you learn on the job.
For sure. We've all,
Yeah.
all got our horror stories for sure. But I suppose
Yeah,
the beauty of weddings is like, it's such a high pressure environment and you have to be so reactive to everything. So taking that energy and putting that into all other shoots as well, it's nice when you've got the space and like that
yeah.
reactivity can just be a bit more chill.
And now, running your own business, being self-employed, what's something that you wish you knew before?
Oh wow.
Like, is it actually as good as it seems?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I think there's levels of freedom that you have with running your own business and not, of course, with times when they get busy. But I think the level of self control you have over your life, like and the decisions you make between me and Ian and others, um, that for me is like really rewarding. I think something I wish I'd known was just a little bit more like business acumen. I think you can take
Mm.
business skills into every industry that you ever
Mm.
want to work in, and I think that's the one thing my university course wasn't great at, is teaching you how to sell your value. So I think that's something we're only really just coming to, I'd say, fruition now, is where we sit within the industry and how we add that value. That'd be mine.
I completely agree. And I think as creatives or, people who are more creatively inclined, I think we just assume that that's not, a skill that we naturally have. But I think the business side is so important and anyone can learn it. It is actually quite, you can learn the basics quite easily.
Yeah, I was actually talking to a friend about this on Monday, and how my university course specifically made you feel really really bad if you were shooting weddings and stuff like that because you wasn't achieving your niche in being this specific
Yeah.
photographer that you wanted to be. And actually, I think that was really poor advice considering the world we're in. I think as long as you're working in the industry, you can carve away eventually, but you have to do a lot of work around it to like you say, to pay the bills and to get through. Unless you're fortunate
100%.
enough to have some
100%.
financial
Yeah.
backing.
No,
Yeah.
and I totally agree. I think like people don't actually talk about the truth here is that we're in a cost of living crisis. We need to pay the bills. We need basics to then be able to then do the thing that we love. And yeah, sometimes it's like frowned upon as creatives to be doing, jobs that you shouldn't be doing, but
Hmm.
all of that will add up. And what about someone who is starting wants to maybe start their own business? But we're talking here to like students who are probably what, 16, 17, 18, even like up to kind of uni. Would you say start a business straight away, or would you actually say get experience first?
I'd say definitely get a bit of experience first, and also try and kind of keep a bit of a small side hustle going on the side as well. I think it's important to kind of have your day to day, like we've been saying, I suppose, really just to kind of keep that income, and so you have a less pressure on your creative side. So when you do have like your side hustle, then you can kind of put your evenings into it, put your spare time into it, and I think that's really important. I do also think that attending more networking events, and I think so. I'm speaking quite broadly here, but I know as me personally being a creative and stuff, I'm a bit more of an introvert. I like to be behind my screen and sort of like keeping away. And Brydn's much more the extroverted one of the two of us, and he's been fantastic at doing networking and getting out there and stuff. And it's really been lately that I've been like really enjoying that side as well. And I think it's important to kind of like early on try and get yourself out there, get used to speaking to people, get used to kind of like how to sell yourself to people, because like people can see your passion coming through. And the more you talk about it, the more people will get it. And the more people will be like, oh, I know that person can come and do this, come and do that. Just keep yourself in the front of people's minds, I think is a really important thing to do. So keep getting out there and keep chatting.
Yeah, I think the face value sometimes is more important than the work.
Mm.
People want to help people. I think you find, so if you can be vulnerable in scenarios by going into networking, saying, "Look, I'm new to this industry. I want a chance to do something." A lot of the time, someone will give you an opportunity or point you to someone who can. But I think my piece of advice would actually be to collaborate. I think there's only so much work you can do, and I think that other people open doors in the sense of you could work with a graphic designer as a photographer, and it completely elevate a project that you're working on and stuff, which you'll know from university and stuff anyway. But even today, me and Ian do pro bono work to try and elevate our portfolio and try to change something in that we're doing, because I think that work and keeping that going, like Ian said, as a side hustle outside of the day to day, where they might have some more structure in what they're doing, just kind of keeps your juices flowing as such. I didn't pick my camera up for 2 years when I was at work, which was also okay, like outside of work. But I went through a real slump of just getting really bored in the work I was doing, and
Yeah.
keeping that passion going is really important. But also, knowing if you need a break from it also is really important too.
And what about business partners, co-founders? Could you guys have done it without each other? Do you think having a co-founder is really good?
Don't do it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, great. Thanks, Brian. I was saying I can't. I was going to say I could do without you, but fine.
No, I agree with that. I think having someone to lean on, share ideas, hold you accountable to help business grow, because there's certain things you have to do with a business that you don't necessarily want to. It's like, I think the shooting element of our job for filming and photography is probably about 5%. There's so many other things that go on that you need to work together on, and like I said, two people's brains, three people's brains sometimes are more important. Obviously, financial side comes with that, having to earn enough to pay for two people, but now three. But yeah, that'd be my opinion on that.
Yeah, no, I think, if there is someone that you do see that you have like a shared passion with, or a shared kind of like, understanding, I think, trying to lean into that is really, really good. Of course, it is possible to do it on your own. We know loads of people who are doing this on their own as well, and they're succeeding really, really well. But I think it's in who you are, recognizing what your weaknesses are, and hopefully within your partner kind of leaning into that, because I know my weakness for sure is sometimes like the financial side and kind of like the kind of like forward thinking side and stuff, whereas Brydn's very good at kind of like keeping an eye on things and making sure that the business is running smoothly, whilst I kind of go away and come up with some ridiculous crazy ideas and stuff like that, and I'm just like, Brydn, can we do this? And I was like, wait, hold on a second. And I think if I was to run on this on my own, we'd be bankrupt by now.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think that goes also gone.
No, I was just saying, I think most companies with founders and co-founders would all say the same. Like, if I didn't have Sam, 100% Eric would not be here today.
Yeah. And it goes back to the point of saying like shared networking, because some people might want to go into business on their own, but you still might want to work with other people. And like, there's loads of like hubs and stuff out there that give like free office spaces and stuff where you can network and meet people. Like, there's a NatWest accelerator that we had no idea about, that I think probably we could probably go use, but luckily a client of ours gives us an office now. But when you're just starting out, You just get out there, go work in a co-working space, and just meet loads of people.
And what about like the type, like who's the best person to work with? Is it someone who is the complete opposite of you? I mean, is there a magic formula, or actually it doesn't really matter because as long as you guys have that shared passion, you'll find a way to work with each other.
I think the latter, although there needs to be some push and shove, and then also a mutual understanding of the direction you want to go in. I think that's the key part that me and Ian try and readdress maybe every 6 months to a year is like, is this still what we want from our lives and also from the business? And then that changes quite a lot. I think if we look at our original plan when we first set out, I think it'll look very different to where it is now.
Mm. I
But
mean,
that you can work with lots of different people as long as you've got the same alignment, I think is the key.
totally. I mean, it is like a relationship, it's arguably maybe more important than a romantic partner because you're thinking about you'd probably spend more time together. Um,
Yeah.
but like you said, it's yeah, communication. I think it's being on the same page. It's just like keeping each other up to date and not getting to the point where you resent each other and can't stand each other.
And it is something that is learned for sure. And I think, if you do go into collaboration with someone, like, I do think, if there are moments that are tricky between the two of you, like accept that's part of the process. There used to be a part when we first started off together that we know we'd always have like, every shoot we'd always have our one little tiff kind of thing, always kind of like over something so minor. But like that's by through doing that and communicating that, we learn how to kind of like read each other's signals and know how to kind of like act on shoot with each other and stuff like that. And now that doesn't happen at all. Like, it's very, very rare that we kind of have a disagreement on something. But even if it is a disagreement, it now becomes a discussion, which is really, really nice. So you just gradually work it out. So don't be too peeved if you do kind of get into a bit of a few tiffs in the early days because that's just natural. That's fine.
Yeah. And like you said before, I think it's being self-aware of your weaknesses, your strengths,
Mm.
and knowing where, you can improve basically.
Okay.
Um, and what about like when do you think is the right time for someone, say, to jump from that secure job to starting a business? Is there ever a good time?
I think it all depends on. I never really understood the political elements to this, but I think it does depend on current business place and whatever is going on with government. I'd say I was always told at university have 3 months worth of rent to allow you some time to build stuff up. However, I'd probably say more than that based on my pessimism.
Mm,
Um, I'd probably give yourself 6 months worth of rent on or living budget to allow yourself the time to just really comfortably ease in. But as
mm,
Ian said, I'd actually start it on the side so that you already get some form of it will take hard work, but so you can get some form of income rolling and maybe a couple of clients that you can start working with on the side.
yeah. Or wait until you are made redundant.
Yeah.
Sam,
Or wait until someone forces your arm, yeah, and then you're like, okay, we're already starting to do this, so we might as well carry on.
I know. Yeah, because Sam was made redundant actually before we started, Eric, and that was a good because you get paid. I think it's like 3 months up front. So when do you get that chance to have that?
Yeah, for
No,
sure.
I didn't get that because I was there less than a year.
Oh, okay.
So we really had our work cut out for us, didn't we, Ian? But,
We did,
no,
but yeah, we powered through. We were very, very lucky to, have the wedding business and that was moving for a good like couple of years before that happened, really. So, yeah, we were.
Yeah. And I think, this generation is like they do have an advantage where the side hustle, it's more accessible now to have a side hustle
mm,
and also to earn money on the side, whereas I think back
yeah,
before the internet and all that kind of stuff, social media, like it was a lot harder to have a
yeah,
full-time job and a side hustle. So, and also now with AI, there's I feel like there's a lot more opportunity, hopefully, for this generation.
I
I
like,
agree.
I like to think so too, for sure.
And what about so with So Motive, you guys do work with a lot of like young creatives, like you want to work with more younger people. Tell us a bit about that.
So basically, what we're trying to do at the moment is now that the business is running in a a way that's sustainable. You know, we've now got enough in the tank to kind of like start doing the things that we really wanted to do. So we're in a position where we've started hiring interns and looking for training as well. Hopefully within like about a year or so, kind of thing, where we want to kind of bring young talent in, sort of like train them up so they can kind of get the opportunity to kind of like see what it is like to be on a film set, what it's like to do editing, what is it like to hold a camera and all that kind of stuff. So we want to kind of have that part of the business to really kind of help, you know, the next young generation of talent kind of come through and also kind of be part of our team as well, because we think, you know, having diverse voices, people from loads of different backgrounds and different age groups, different trains of thought and stuff is just absolutely fantastic, you know, and we've really noticed that in hiring our first hire, Anna. She's neurodivergent and she's just got like a total different mindset to both me and Brydn, and it's been just absolutely fantastic just to kind of like listen to her feedback and how she communicates with us, and it's forced us to communicate in different ways. We really want to give opportunity to everybody, and I think that's what we're trying to push at the moment.
I think
Amazing.
when I was freelancing when I first left university, I think the most valuable skills I learned was just being on set. You learn terminology, you learn language, you learn skills, people skills, etiquette. You learn so many different things, and just by asking questions to people who are already doing it, as opposed to other
Mm.
people that are also at uni with you. So I think that's what we want to be able to offer young people, I guess, when they come out of uni or at uni, just some opportunity.
And where are you guys based again?
A London Bridge.
Southwark. Yeah,
Oh, London Bridge, Suffolk. Oh, okay. Um,
yeah.
Someone, Lazarus, you have your hand up. I don't know if that was on purpose or not, but you can ask a question in the chat if you want to. So yeah,
Ooh,
if anyone
question.
does have any questions, please let Ian and Brydon know, because we have run out of time, but I will. Oh, he didn't mean to click that. Don't worry, but
Oh, so excited.
he's really engaged. Exactly. But yeah, we have actually gone over time. But last question, I guess, is what would be your one piece of advice for someone just starting out in your maybe in your field, media, video production, content. Yeah, what would be your advice today?
I'll go first. I definitely go back to the kind of like the networking side, for sure, and kind of like building up that network and trying to find other creatives that you know you can align with, because you know even if there isn't paid work just yet, if you're doing a side hustle, just kind of being on a set or being with someone else who is creative to try and like you know learn different skills, I think is such an important thing. Like last night, for example, I went to a networking event for a film that I'm working on at the moment, and I met loads and loads of kind of young students from aspiring in the film industry, and there were people just you know asking questions and let me know about their projects and stuff, and I was like, okay, cool, I've got opportunities here that I can bring you onto and stuff, and I can see this all happening. So I really think that is a great way to start, and just you know building that network is a really good way to start.
Yeah, my bit of advice goes off the back of that, and it's ask questions. I think don't be afraid to reach out to someone that you think is in the clouds in their own business, and don't give up, because I think knowing it from both sides of reaching out to photographers when I was younger to want to work for them to now running a business, like people are busy. So if they
Mhm.
don't reply to you the first time, do message two or three times. Like add them on LinkedIn. Like LinkedIn's the best tool for networking, by the way. If you ever meet anyone, just drop them that want to meet you on Facebook, face value, not Facebook. Drop someone on a message on LinkedIn and just bit like follow up, ask questions, see if you can get involved somehow, because there's always someone always wants to say yes to helping. I think is the key.
Yeah, no, I'd completely agree. And like, even if someone's not getting back to you, they probably are reading your messages and they're, too busy to get back. But when they do need someone, they probably will think of, oh, that person messaged me. They had an interesting portfolio, blah, 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 blah. So yeah, just stay
Yeah,
top of mind on everyone's. Like on
yeah. I think
LinkedIn, I post
there's
like 10 times a day.
yeah.
I don't care.
No, exactly. I think there's a level of capacity required from the person you're messaging to be able to accept that into their remit. I think that's like the bits. If you catch them at the right time, sometimes it can be immediate. Maybe it then needs to be 2 or 3 months because they're really busy and going through a stage where they're like, oh my god, I can't take on anything else. And think understanding that everyone has these stresses and pressures, I think, is really key.
We do have a question actually from Bailey. So what was a difficult milestone that you were able to concur together when starting your business?
I would say getting used to paying ourselves. I think that
Mm,
was probably a really difficult part because when you're first setting things out, I think there's a level of kind of like, well, you're doing this, I'm doing this, and at that point, we both just needed to be in synergy. And I think that was a really difficult milestone. I think for both of us at the time. And I think once we got through that, the synergy was so much better. Of just being like, right, this is what we're doing. We're going on the same journey together. I think being completely aligned that we were speaking about earlier was that main part for me. I don't know about you, Ian,
no,
but
I couldn't agree more. Yeah, no, because when we did set up So Motive, we were essentially two freelancers kind of working together, kind of thing. So, we were working in a very much way of just like, okay, Brydn, you're doing this work, so you get paid that much. Ian, you're doing that much work, so you're getting paid that. And it just didn't align, it just didn't work at all. And just felt like there was this constant thing of like, wait, hold on a second, but I'm doing all of this work, here to like do processing and stuff like that and stuff, but I'm not getting paid for that kind of thing. So it's like, it was that final moment where it's like, okay, right, we just need to kind of really bring this together and make this an actual company rather than just two freelancers working together, which is what it
Yeah.
felt like for the first like what 6 9 months or so and like that. So that was a
Yeah.
big milestone.
just
Yeah.
appreciating value in all tasks as opposed to just the ones that pay.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. And I think if you are co-founders, I personally think, especially if you join at the beginning of the business, it should be a 50-50 thing because you're
Yeah.
both putting your blood, sweat, tears. Like there is no, overtime or, time management. Like you're working every day of the clock. So you need to feel like you're both in it together and, appreciate each other.
Yeah, and I think flex as well. Just on that, just that I've had two babies since we started up this business, and Ian's had some challenges he's gone through and stuff as well. And it's just ensuring that you're there for each other as
Yeah.
well as it being about money and about driving stuff through and wanting to fulfill a purpose. Like life happens as well, and I think just making sure you're there for one another and finding ways that you can get through stuff, which I'd say was a very big milestone for me specifically. But trying to balance all that out, and we're both very, very, open to supporting one another.
Oh, that's amazing. And like you said, it's all worth it in the end, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. Don't know when the end is, but yeah.
We'll have to get you guys back next year, every year, and see
Yeah,
Let's see
how
where
you
we are.
guys progress. But no, I think honestly, sometimes just starting it is the hardest bit, and you'll figure it out. So I think if anyone is interested in starting their own business, like you do just have to take a risk sometimes and go for it. And even if it doesn't work out, you would have learned loads and pick it up again and try again.
there's no
Exactly.
perfect path. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And I'm sure you guys agree that the business that you start is never the business that you have now. It changes so much.
Yeah.
It's just the name that kind of stays the same, but actually.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Passion Projects Productions isn't here anymore. So.
Yeah, well, thank you guys so much. Like, honestly, that was brilliant. I know like loads of people really enjoyed that. And yeah, thanks for being honest and just saying how it is as well. And yeah, we'd love to have you back at our next career event next year.
We'd love to be here.
Thanks so much for having us.
Thank you.
Okay, well, have an amazing rest of your day. And yes, we'll see you hopefully very soon.